Hi, welcome to the Xylem Virtual Training Series. I'm David Stover, Technical Training Manager for Xylem Industrial Solutions. Today we're going to be talking about the e-SVI. Now the e-SVI is an immersible pump where we can see right here where our pump is down located below the surface of a tank, and it pumps fluid up and out for machine tool applications. And for today's application, we're going to do a mechanical seal replacement inside the pump here. Now we'll be following all of our instructions. It's inside of our installation and operation manual. Now you can find a copy of this manual at goulds.com. You go to goulds.com and in the search bar type in e-SVI and it'll take you to the product page for the e-SVI product. There you'll be able to find your brochure on the product along with the installation and operation manual, and that'll show you all the information of how we're going to be operating today. We're going to start with the disassembly of our pump. Right here, we're going to take off our coupling guard right here. Now the first thing we want to do is make sure that we've got our safety gloves on so that we don't get any cuts. Additionally with this, we want to make sure that we have the power turned off to the pump if the pump is in service. We want to lock out the power, make sure that it can't be turned back on once we get into the pump and start working with it. And we also want to make sure that we don't have any pressure on the system. Relieve any pressure before we take the pump apart so that we don't have anything that comes out on top of us. So with that, let's go ahead and start with our coupling guard right here. We've got 2 screws on the front side here, and there's another coupling guard exactly like this on the back side that we'll remove. It's exactly the same with the same setup with screws right here. So we'll take these screws out and get the screw on the opposite side. And then we can remove our coupling guard. Now here we'll see our coupling on the inside. We're going to go to the back side and remove our coupling guard back here. So now we've got our coupling guard off front and back, and this exposes our pump shaft coupling right here. So the first thing that we got to do is we've got to remove our coupling bolts, and we've got 2 on the bottom and we have 2 on the top that we're going to take out. And we'll reach in here and we'll loosen them up with the Allen wrench. Now if they're tight, you may end up having to go back in and utilize a ratchet that you can reach in there and break that loose and then take it out by hand. So we'll stick this in, holding the coupling in place, and break that lock. Now we've got 1 on the bottom that faces forward and 1 on the top that faces the opposite corner forward. We break that loose, spin our coupling around, and break the opposite side loose there the same way. We take the bottom corner, break it loose, the top corner, we can break it loose. Once we've got this broke loose, we can then go to our T-handle wrench here, spin this out quickly and easily. We get the first one loose. Let's save our bolt to the side. Go to the top opposite corner, take it loose. Set our bolt to the side, turn the coupling, get the opposite too. And then our final bolt we'll take loose here. With our bolts out, our coupling then separates. We have front and back. We'll set this to the side. And then we also have a drive pin located right here on the shaft. We want to take this out and preserve it also with the coupling. So at this point now, what we're going to want to do is remove these 3 hex head cap screws. So we're going to take these out. Reach in, break them loose, give them a quick twist and turn, take them out. Now once we get these 3 out, there's 2 screws opposite sides of each other that is set up so that we can run these screws back down in these, and they will push against this casing and lift this seal plate out. So now I'll take these 2 screws, and there's a screw slot right here, and there's a threaded hole in this plate. And we'll thread the first screw into there. Thread it all the way down till it hits. It's going to hit against this casting here. And directly opposite, we'll see another one right here. Now with this, we'll take our Allen wrench and we're going to run these down 2 or 3 turns, and it'll begin to lift. And we'll go to the opposite side and do the same thing. And that way we lift evenly on both sides. It doesn't cause it to bind up. Now that we've got the screws all the way down, it's breaking loose. And this will lift right off. So we lift it. This is the seal cover plate. This is our stationary element right here that doesn't turn. We'll replace this. We want to inspect our O-ring right here, make sure that it's in good, clean shape. That's this O-ring right here that we want to make sure is okay. So this is still in good shape. We're going to set this to the side. Now, the rotating element is located down inside right here. And we have to hook on that and try to get it out. So what we're going to do, this tool here comes with the pump, and this is for the seal replacement. And we'll run this in on the down and then rotate it to the side. And you see there as I lift it, this begins to lift the seal assembly out. Once I get the seal assembly up, I can lift this out right here. And there it is. We've removed the rotating assembly. Okay, so now we're going to go back to our stationary element. We're going to bring this back in, and we want to remove this part from the seal housing. Okay, so we reach in, we'll see here, it starts to lift up. And we can see how this is put together. We have our carbon ring that we had before. We've got an O-ring that seals that into position inside here. Now we'll inspect this inner part, make sure that it's clean inside, right here. So then we go back in with our new unit, it just slides back in and it seals perfectly. At this time right now, we can also come in here. We're going to take these screws out, break those loose, and get those out of our way. Set these aside. Because next we're going to clean up, get everything ready to go, and install the new seal. At this point here, we're going to start with the installation of our new mechanical seal. So let's open this up and inspect it, make sure that we've got everything that we need right. We'll see here that it's wrapped. We're going to remove the wrapping carefully and try to avoid touching the seal faces. So I've gripped it from the outside edge, remove this, discard the paper, and we've got our stationary element, and we have a rotating element, and we have this little cardboard disc in the middle right here. We're going to save that so we can push this piece, the stationary element, down inside the seal housing. So we take a look at this. Everything appears to be in good shape. We're going to set this to the side real quick now. Now at this point here, we want to clean and inspect our shaft. We're going to inspect the shaft down here and make sure that there's no burrs or anything in here. If there is, we'll take a piece of emery cloth and we're going to wipe this down and get it smoothed back out and make sure that we don't have anything in there that can cut the inside of our mechanical seal. So on our inspection here, everything looks to be in good shape. So we're good to go with this. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've got some alcohol swabs here that we're going to use. We'll take these and just use this to wipe down and make sure that everything is clean on the inside. So we open them up. I'm going to wipe my shaft down real quick right here. Just clean it off. Make sure that I don't have anything on there. Doesn't get anything on from anything else. That's in good shape. I'm going to wipe my fingertips real quick because I'm going to be picking my seal up. So I'm going to make sure that this is in good, clean shape. Now at this point here, I'm going to be working with my rotating element, and the rotating element goes in with the seal face pointing upwards. So that's why we want to make sure that our hands are good and clean, because we're going to have to push this down into the depth of this shaft right here. So with that, I'm going to need some lubricant on here to make sure that this slides easily. So I've got a little bit of lubricant I'm going to put just on the inside of my seal right here, and I want to let that get in there and lubricate that polymer on the inside. Get a little bit on the shaft right here. Wipe that around it, get it good and lubricated all the way around the shaft so that I'm not going in on a dry shaft. Now at this point, I'm going to slide this in. I'll start up here at the top. I'm going to work this down over the shaft as such. There we go. It starts to slide in. Now we're gripping at the outside edges. I want to push this down. Notice how I'm using like the tips of my thumb on the outside edge to push this down inside. I want that down in there as far as I can get it, like so. Now that we've got the rotating element inserted down inside the pump body housing, now we're going to install the stationary element into the seal plate here at the top. So we're going to check our inside here again, make sure that everything is good and clean and smooth. We don't want anything in there that can cut the O-ring on our stationary element and cause a leak. So everything looks good in there. I'm just going to take my alcohol swab. I'm going to reach in there and wipe that out real good so that I know that it's clean. And we're in good shape. Again, clean my fingertips, make sure that they're clean before I get started, because I'm going to be handling this, and this is a very small piece, and it's easy to get debris on it. Now here is my stationary unit, and it has a rubber O-ring around right here. Let's take this and wipe it down, make sure that it's good and clean. Okay, we got this clean. We want to make sure that we're clean here. We'll wipe this part again when we're done. And then we want to put a little bit of our lubricant right inside here so that that O-ring will slide in with ease and we don't have to worry about it pinching or rolling on the inside. So I've got that into position there. I want to put a little bit on my O-ring right here. I want to put a little bit on my O-ring right here. Get this in place. Just a dab will do ya. We put that in, wipe it around, and then we're going to set this right here. And remember that little paper disc that I told you about that came in there? This is where we're going to use this. I'm going to set this on top, and I'm going to push that stationary ring down inside, using this to protect that seal face. And now it's installed. Take my alcohol swab once again. I'm going to wipe this off, make sure it's clean. Everything looks good. I'm happy and satisfied with what I've got. Now at this point, I'm going to add a little bit of lubrication to this O-ring right here. Get this lubed up so it will slide down inside the pump body without issue. I can add a little bit of this right inside right here. Wipe it around once again so I'm not a dry rubber O-ring into a dry metal casing. So I'm going to bring this up, set it down over, and let it start down. And I want to line my bolt holes up, and then we'll see. We push it down, we feel it, it's tight against the rotating element. And here we'll put our screws back in that holds this into position. So we've got 3 screws. We'll put these in, and then at that point we will have replaced our mechanical seal. We'll simply reconnect our motor and have this unit ready to go back into service. Now that we have our seal plate installed here, we've got it bolted all the way down. We've secured it with the 3 screws that originally held it down. We're going to install our motor pump coupling. Now this goes in, and then we don't want to forget that we have a drive pin right here that goes through the pump shaft and goes into the coupling. So we bring our pin in, and this pin goes right through here just like this. And then we're going to bring our coupling in and set it on that pin right here. Like that. And then we'll set the opposite side on here. And then we're going to put our bolts in. And we'll put all of our, once we get our bolts in, before we tighten it up, we're going to have to make sure that the gap between the 2 halves is equal, and we're not always pinched up on one side altogether. But before we get it completely tight, we're going to have to set the shaft height. Now we'll set the shaft height with this tool right here. Now this comes with the pump, and it is attached to the side housing over here on this side. You'll see that it's screwed to it right there. We're going to take this and going to set it underneath this coupling, and that's going to pull it up to the position that it needs to be in before we tighten it to the pump shaft or the motor shaft. So with that, let's go ahead and get our bolts that run in, and we'll get that started right now. Now we've got our pump and motor coupling installed, and it's just snugged in. Now one of the key things we got to make sure, as I said earlier, make sure this gap is the same on both sides. We want to keep this even all the way through. Now we don't want to tighten it up tight, because now we've got to set our shaft height. We're going to lift this up. So we lift this up and we slide this piece in right here around the shaft at the top of the seal, and I'm going to pull it down till it touches. Now that's just touching on there. Now at this point I can tighten my coupling all the way up. Get it tight, get it locked into position. Now with just those 2 right there, I can now pull this piece back out, and we want to make sure that we save this. This will go back on the side of the pump over here, and that'll be bolted, screwed back to it. It's got a screw that holds it into position. Now we've got our screws tightened up on the first 2. We'll finish the other 2, and we'll lock this into position. From there, we're going to put our coupling guard back on, and we have finished our seal replacement on the e-SVI. So I've got that there. Here's my coupling guard. My coupling guard goes right back onto here. I have 2 screws that goes in here. And we'll do the same thing on the back side once we get this in. And that's the completion of the project. So thank you for watching our video today. If you need any additional support or you need literature, go to goulds.com and enter the information in the search bar.